Hello, 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 everybody. Once again, it's Stevie B at PTC, and we're here for another exciting episode of PTC Live. We have a great panel of guests with us today, and we have a tremendous topic, one that is an emerging topic that is really revolutionizing our manufacturing industry and creating partnerships with the technical college system and our external partners. Today, we have with us from Apprenticeship Carolina, Miss Kathy Dixon. Kathy is the apprenticeship consultant for Apprenticeship Carolina, and she joined Apprenticeship Carolina in October 2019, and she currently supports Piedmont Tech, York Tech, and Spartanburg Community College. Also, prior to joining Apprenticeship Carolina, Kathy worked with the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce. We also have Mr. Dean Sigvardsson, who's right here locally in Greenwood and works in human resources at Ascend Performance Materials. Dean has been in human resources for 38 years. And Ascend, of course, partners with PTC in the roles of professionalism, developing professional apprentices and employees, and the apprenticeship program. So how you guys doing today? Kathy, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Awesome. Thank you for having me today. Such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Dean, how are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
Excellent. Kathy, I'm going to jump right in with you, and I'm going to ask you a question. What are apprenticeships? What do they do? What's going on with these apprenticeships? We're hearing this all over the place now. It's an emerging trend. Tell us a little bit about apprenticeships.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for your question. So as you mentioned, our apprenticeships are, really taking off here in South Carolina. And there's a lot of, buzzwords taking place, a lot of traction, a lot of awareness right now being placed around apprenticeships. So, to actually define what an apprenticeship program is, I'm going to kind of give you my basic definition, and I'm going to kind of give an expanded definition.
Sure.
So the easiest way to think about or look at an apprenticeship program is that it is a learn while you earn training model that an employer can have in place, to be able to train either their new hires as they're coming into the business or even for their existing workers. But it's an opportunity for them to be able to learn an occupation or learn a trade or learn a skill or position within the company that will allow them to be very successful in that role. With the apprenticeship program itself, it does consist of a number of components, which I'll get into that a little bit later. But again, the simplest definition of an apprenticeship program is a learn while you earn training model. Now, if we want to look at it in a much more comprehensive, in-depth definition, you can look at an apprenticeship program as that flexible training program that will cultivate highly skilled workers who can meet an organization's workforce demand. It is a very formalized approach to what businesses are already doing, but the apprenticeship program is a way to be able to ensure them better results. So it is a proven workforce development tool that can be used across a number of businesses and industries.
Wow, that is quite a comprehensive and yet succinct definition. Dean, from the industry standpoint, the industry point of view, talk about what Ascend is hoping to accomplish with their apprenticeship programs and their relationships with our technical college pending workforce.
Sure. One of the things that's happening in industry in Greenwood is that there are many individuals in the maintenance area at sites, at manufacturing sites, who are close to retirement, and having the apprenticeship program through the state, and then working with Piedmont Tech through the mechatronics degree program, that has given us the opportunity to recruit young folks into our site during their where they're going through Piedmont Tech and learning. They're also working at Ascend's manufacturing site here in Greenwood. So it's given us a great opportunity to start feeding when we have individuals, when we forecast individuals that might be retiring, we start plugging in individuals that we can put into a learning program here on site. And the benefit to us is that you have an individual that's motivated, somebody that has is gone through the educational system that's very fine at Piedmont Tech, for these types of technical degrees. So it gives us an advantage, a leg up, using the apprenticeship and Piedmont Tech for our backfills for individuals that are soon to be retiring.
Wow. Now, I can only imagine that when I was coming out of college, I was shaking like a leaf on a tree at graduation, thinking, okay, really, I got to go find a job now. But as you're saying it, the way that your programs are set up is that an individual who's currently, if I'm a mechatronics technology student, I could very realistically be partnering with Ascend and be working towards and literally on perhaps my job while I'm still in school.
That's correct, Steve. So essentially how we've set it up is if you were selected, you go through an interview process, you get selected, you begin working at the site 20 hours a week, and you go to school 20 hours a week. In addition to that, you're being paid. Our starting wages first semester are right around the high $16 mark. And as you progress, you get more money. So the range is from $16.99 to $22.17. So in addition to that, individuals who keep the right GPA, have good attendance at the plant, good work behaviors at the plant, we look to help them with their educational reimbursement. So it's really an opportunity to kind of walk in. If you do the right things, you get educated, you have a job waiting for you, and you get your educational assistance along with that. You can't beat that.
Oh, that is an awesome trifecta. Let me tell you, that is fantastic. Kathy, Apprenticeship Carolina. Tell us a little bit about Apprenticeship Carolina and how many apprenticeship programs are there in South Carolina?
Absolutely. So Apprenticeship Carolina, we fall under the umbrella of the South Carolina Technical College System. And under the Technical College System, we have a couple of different other partners. So we have our Ready SC division, we have our E-Zone division, and then we have the Technical College System itself for the 2-year credit degree programs and also for continuing education. But Apprenticeship Carolina, we actually became kind of our own standalone entity under the umbrella of the South Carolina Technical College System a little over a year ago. And so primarily what we do is we work directly with different businesses across South Carolina to be able to convert or take their training programs and actually fit them into the model of an apprenticeship program. We actually have several apprenticeship consultants like myself that work across the state. We are kind of all paired up with different technical colleges, across South Carolina. And so we work with very closely hand in hand with that local technical college and different businesses, that fall within their service area, promoting apprenticeships, talking about apprenticeships, getting them enthused and more aware about apprenticeships and talking about, how that can serve as an effective business solution tool for them as it relates to their workforce and talent development needs. But again, Apprenticeship Carolina, we are very, very hands-on in terms of working with different employers, and we kind of serve as that go-between the employer and the U.S. Department of Labor. So anytime an employer is wanting to look at putting in place an apprenticeship program, we will work with that employer to kind of hash out the pieces of the apprenticeship program, and then the final piece of that is we would then submit that documentation to the U.S. Department of Labor to actually get that apprenticeship program registered for that particular company. So we kind of serve as that go-between. We handle all the administrative aspects of that, working again with the particular company and also with the local technical college to be able to get all the pieces in place that will actually meet the needs then of an apprenticeship program.
Excellent. Now, Kathy, there's the perception that apprenticeship programs are only for people that are interested in construction type careers or manufacturing type careers. Is that true?
So let me go ahead and dispel that myth.
Okay.
So apprenticeships can actually be utilized across all industries. And so, I think, in the past, most people have kind of recognized or thought about apprenticeships, as working, within those industries, as you mentioned about manufacturing and construction. But apprenticeships can actually, can run the gamut across a number of different industries. So we have apprenticeships right now that fall within the arena of healthcare, IT, hospitality, you have transportation, you have energy and utilities. So again, it's much more broader than what people tend to think about. And because of the fact that we work with very close with the U.S. Department of Labor, right now there are actually over 1,000 occupations, that are considered to be apprenticeable occupations. So, we're not just kind of channeled into one or two buckets to say, okay, well, those are only the areas that apprenticeships can be implemented in. They can actually be implemented across a number of different industries. And you had asked me a question earlier in regards to the number of apprentices or apprenticeships here in South Carolina. So last report of our numbers is that we have had close to 34,000 apprentices here in South Carolina. Now that number, of course, it is all encompassing, for those that have actually gone through an apprenticeship program and those that are actually in an apprenticeship program now. But, that is a very, very strong number to say, okay, well, across the state of South Carolina, we have had close to 35,000 apprentices, registered apprentices going through an actual apprenticeship program. In terms of actual apprenticeship programs, now we're talking about apprentices and programs. So the programs will actually be a program that an employer actually has in place now that falls under DOL approval to have an apprenticeship program. That number, we have close to 1,100 apprenticeship programs here in South Carolina. And then in addition to that, we also have close to 250 youth apprenticeship programs. So, there's a fine line there between, our apprenticeship programs, those are more so geared towards adults, but then we have another pocket of those that are geared towards youth apprenticeship programs. So very strong numbers here in South Carolina. I want to say that when we came into inception back in 2007, South Carolina at that time had maybe a little bit over around 700 apprentices. So you think about it, over the course of the last 13 years or so, how that number has grown exponentially.
Yes, ma'am. That is absolutely incredible. Dean, Ascend being such a major partner within the communities here in Greenwood, normally as a college student, you're thinking, well, I've got, 15 credit hours of coursework, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 10:30, Tuesday, Thursday, 8 to 12 maybe, and I'm going to be doing some lab work. If I'm an apprentice with Ascend, what kind of time commitments am I looking, will I be having as a partner with finishing my classroom and instruction portal at Piedmont Tech, and then the work relationship with Ascend?
Yeah, Steve. So we've designed it where it's 20 hours a week for work and 20 hours a week for class. That can flip-flop depending on the needs of the student. If there's a requirement to be in school for a particular lab at a different time or a time that they would normally be working, we've worked with those individuals to kind of fit that to their schedule. So 20 hours at work, 20 hours at school is kind of the baseline, and then we work with the students in regards to their needs for schooling. It's very important that they have time to be able to study, that they have time to be able to attend class, that they have time to be able to hit their labs and things of that nature.
Sure. And, for those viewers who may not be aware, tell us a little bit about what Ascend is looking for. What is a mechatronics technologist, and what role would that individual play in your industry?
Yeah, so in the past, we had more of a design around you were either a millwright, so you were in maintenance, or you were an electrician, or you were an instrumentation technician. Mm-hmm. What this particular degree program allows us to do is for the individual to go and basically be a multi-craft individual, which gives us then greater flexibility within the plant. So when we have a need for an electrician, but all our electricians are not available, the individuals that we're now bringing in through the apprenticeship program gives us greater flexibility to task those individuals to different types of things to work on. So really the key to that program really is multi-craft type of experience and training through the class. And then when we have our individuals here, the apprentices here, we try to give them the ability to work in various areas, whether it's instrumentation, whether it's electrical or whether it's millwright, maintenance, mechanic type thing.
Sure. One other question, Dean, now we have students that, because of accelerated learning opportunities, that are graduating and they're enrolling at Piedmont Tech at 17 years of age. They graduate early and they're coming here. And I'm sure you and Kathy both see this throughout the technical college system with the dual enrollment programs and opportunities for students to accelerate. Is there an age limit to start with Ascend in an apprenticeship program, Dean?
Yeah, we look for 18 years of age.
Okay. And Kathy, let me pose a question this way.
Okay.
Developing an apprenticeship relationship with Ascend, what are some of the benefits that your apprenticeship program offers to the employers? And then talk a little bit about what those apprenticeships offer in terms of benefits to the apprentice, him or herself.
Absolutely. A great question, and one that I always like, to give some good information on. So, as we talked about the apprenticeship itself, kind of being that workforce development tool or that talent development tool to be able to, ensure that an employer, their workforce is well trained, that they have the skills to be successful in their roles. So when you think about the full gamut of an apprenticeship program, it does benefit an employer, to have that highly skilled workforce, to have those individuals that, that have that adequate knowledge, to be successful in their roles, to be able to receive some additional education that kind of goes along with what they're learning on the job to, again, to be 100% proficient. So when you think about it, from that perspective, an apprenticeship can benefit an employer by allowing them to have a much more highly skilled workforce. It also can help an employer in terms of being able to recruit and identify great talent to bring in. So when you're thinking about, okay, well, what type of employee or ideally, what type of individual would make a successful employee here in my business, you can use your apprenticeship program as a way to be able to recruit new individuals into your business. An apprenticeship program can also help when it comes to reducing your turnover. Because again, if an employee is going through the apprenticeship program and they are vested in that opportunity to want to be able to grow and learn the business and really be able to take on those new skill sets and be able to have different things poured into them, then that's going to, allow that person to want to remain with that employer. So again, that's going to reduce any type of turnover that an employer might be facing. It's also going to allow them to be able to have increased productivity as well. Because you think about it, as a person is going through an apprenticeship program, they're not only receiving that on-the-job training, and that's going to be supervised on-the-job training. They're also going to be receiving mentoring as well. Someone is going to kind of serve as that go-to or going to serve as that coach to ensure that they're actually being fully developed in that role. That's going to lead to increased productivity. Mm-hmm. So that creates a win then for the actual employer. But it also, too, an apprenticeship can help an employer in terms of any succession planning, that plans they have in place. So, if you're a business, and, there might be a number of folks that might be looking at retiring from your company, sometime in the future, you can use the apprenticeship program then to be able to retain the knowledge that those individuals have and have that knowledge then to be transferred over to those that are coming in as apprentices or going through your apprenticeship program, because, you don't want to find yourself in a position where, all that knowledge, that those individuals have, if they've been with a company for 20, 30 years, they're considered to be gurus in what they do. Yes. So, you don't want that knowledge that they have, to leave, when they leave, what does that leave the business at that point in time? So you can definitely use the apprenticeship program as a means to be able to capture that knowledge, to retain that knowledge, to ensure that transfer of knowledge is taking place from one individual to the next. So that way, it's going to position that business to be successful in the future. In terms of benefits to the actual apprentice themselves, it does provide the means for them to be able to receive some great work experience, to receive that mentoring, that supervision, the opportunity to be able to enhance their skills and their talents, their abilities, to be able to learn and know how to do different things. It also is going to increase their earning potential as well. And then also one thing that I didn't mention earlier is that anyone that actually goes through an apprenticeship program, at the conclusion of that program, they are able to receive or will receive a US DOL Journeyman's Credential certification. that says this individual has actually gone through an apprenticeship program. So, for a number of individuals, that can be a very strong leveraging tool, or that's another feather in your hat. You just say, okay, well, I have gone through the full gamut, or I have gone through all of the pieces of this apprenticeship program, and now I have something that actually validates, the training and the learning and the exposure that I received under that particular occupation. So it definitely, creates a win-win situation for both the employer and for the apprentice, in terms of the different benefits that they stand to receive.
Great. Dean, pick up on that for me. That experiential piece in terms of having a already trained individual to come in for your workers who may be retiring or maybe advancing to another position within the company. How important is that for, let's say, for Ascend? How important is that, and how does that affect the industry?
Yeah, so Steve, it's one of the things that hugely benefits Ascend and the industry when you know that you have individuals that have applied and been accepted into the apprenticeship program, have then gone to Piedmont Tech for their mechatronics learning and degrees. It's just more of a serious individual that, from our perspective, we see for the most part, individuals that really excel. How it helps us is, and was mentioned earlier, is just from a succession planning perspective, it really puts us in a position now to start adding individuals. So as we're looking at, we look every year, really now every quarter, on looking at potential retirees and how are we going to fill those gaps. This gives us a really good way to fill those gaps at a age that will be with the organization for a longer period of time. So it gives us some really good cushion, bringing in individuals that are trained, individuals that have passed the apprenticeship program, have passed working with us, where we're able to hire them directly. So we see what their work behaviors are. Do they show up for work on time? Do they have a good attitude? Are they a good team player? All those things we can assess. So it really, it's a tremendous opportunity for us to be able to fill those opportunities that we have through, and primarily through the succession planning piece.
This is an interesting question from my perspective. I'm thinking about, I remember when I was growing up in Newberry, South Carolina, and I was in high school getting ready to go to college and needed to make a little money. So I got a job at International Paper. Hardest thing I'd ever had to do in my life. Didn't last very long because I was kind of lazy. But what is it like? What do you think your employees are, your current employees? What feeling do you get from them in terms of how they interact with, say, a 19-year-old Piedmont Technical College student that's coming over to Ascend, and the relationship between the training of them and, just some perspective possibly from, those individuals who are training the young men or young ladies, let me make sure, because sometimes we get caught up in traditional roles and we don't understand that, we do have a lot of young ladies who are in manufacturing and technology programs as well.
That's correct. Yeah, I think that actually it's been, for the individuals that have been assigned to help with the training, I think it's really rewarding for them. We just don't pick anybody. So we have, the individuals that have shown the right behaviors and attitudes and are interested in spending time showing the level of patience necessary as someone's learning. And so, I believe it's pretty rewarding from the comments that I've received. They enjoy doing it. And there's some people that are just naturally gifted at being able to take somebody under their wing and help develop them. So it's a very positive experience for the seasoned employees.
Sure. Kathy, I know we talked about apprentices being paid, but how does one go about being considered for an apprenticeship program?
Absolutely. So the easiest thing I think, at this point in time is, we always like to direct folks to our website, which is apprenticeshipcarolina.com, as there is tons of information out there about apprenticeships, the apprenticeship model itself, information on testimonials, in regards to those who've actually gone through an apprenticeship program. We have testimonials out there for apprentices, adult apprentices, youth apprentices, and also apprenticeship sponsors. So, that will be kind of the ideal place to start if someone is interested in learning a little more about Apprenticeship Carolina or just the different opportunities we have out there. Also, too, for any Piedmont Tech students out there, I would say, to start with your career services department, because that way, they can share with you information about, different apprenticeship sponsors in the area, kind of what might be their hiring requirements might be, or what are they looking for ideally, what those occupations might be. So, that would be another great place to start as well, to kind of learn a little bit more about apprenticeships and who actually has programs in the area. And then again, what that next step would need to be for them. And then also too, for anyone that might be in high school right now, that's interested possibly in, wanting to come in as a youth apprentice, for a particular sponsor, I would suggest then that they reach out to their guidance counselor, and begin to have those conversations with them about apprenticeships. I've heard about it, I read about it, I'm interested, in being considered for something. What would that need to look like for me in terms of that next step? So, I think, that the next step individual or department will be dependent upon where that person is coming from. But again, I think, starting out again with going to our website, learning a little bit more about us, either going to your career services or talking to your guidance counselor, that would be a great way, to start that next step conversation.
Absolutely. Dean, I don't know, does Ascend have information about their apprenticeship program on a website with the company, or does Ascend mainly work directly with the colleges to identify their apprentices?
Yeah, so Steve, we work through the college primarily, and so we have it set up where we come to a new class that they're kicking off, a new semester, and that could be individuals that are in their first semester, could be individuals that have enough credits to be considered maybe a junior or whatever level, and we've hired both levels. That we look to present what we do and what we're looking for, and help people understand the apprenticeship program that we offer through the apprenticeship South Carolina and through Piedmont Tech. And so we do, that's how we've traditionally done it. In that we're fairly comfortable with that piece. We find that we've gotten some we had really good interviews. We had individuals that we didn't select, and that was more just due to the fact that they were interested in something maybe a little bit differently than what we needed. Okay. Not necessarily anything against them, but somebody that's more interested in sitting at a desk and working on computers and things of that nature. So more of an instrumentation, full-fledged engineer versus somebody that likes to get out in the plant, get dirty, and get greasy, and not afraid of heat.
Right. Well, listen, you guys have been absolutely awesome. Is there anything that I didn't ask? We'll give you a minute apiece. Kathy, is there anything that I didn't ask that you want to make sure you get across?
Well, a couple of things that I forgot to mention as you were kind of going through your questionnaire. So when you're talking about asking a question about benefits to the employer, employers can actually or will be eligible for a $1,000 tax credit per apprentice that goes through their apprenticeship program. So I know for some employers, that $1,000 might not sound like a whole lot of money at all, but that particular company is eligible to receive a $1,000 tax credit per apprentice that actually goes through their program, and they can receive that credit for up to 4 years or up to the length of their program. Now, when I say that, there's some programs that might be in length for maybe a 1 or 2 years, and then we have other programs that might last over the course of 3 or 4 years. And how that time frame is kind of determined is working again with the Department of Labor to identify, for a person that's going to be coming in under this occupation, here's the general time frame that it would take for a person to go from 0% proficiency to 100% proficiency. But I did want to go ahead and make mention of that as well.
Okay.
Another thing too that I wanted to share with you all is, as we are working with businesses, we do tend to work with them from a three-step process. So we have what we refer to as our discovery, design, and delivery phase. So during that discovery phase is when we kind of sit down and have that conversation with that particular company or business and really understand, what their challenges are, what their opportunities are, and begin to kind of feel them out to see exactly, how an apprenticeship program can address whatever those concerns they may have. And then from the discovery phase, we go into the design phase, and that's where we kind of taking the information that we've gathered from that particular employer, and then from there put in place an actual apprenticeship program for them that will be successful, for either their new recruits coming in or for their existing workers. And then under that delivery phase is where we kind of continue to work with that employer. So, so once we've kind of gotten you to the finish line and gotten your apprenticeship program registered for you, our engagement or our connection with you does not end there. We continue to have that long-standing relationship with you, because we want to definitely make sure that your program is going to be successful in your business. It's going to be successful for those that come through your program, but also too successful for the local community as well.
Wow. Well, Kathy, I got to tell you, one of my sons just graduated and got a job, and my other one's off in college in New York. You got any horticulture around the house, lawnmower cutters, tree trimmers, those sorts of things that daddy just don't want to do? Dean, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just to reiterate for individuals that might be interested in this, the benefit to you is you get paid. So you start out if you're brand new first semester in mechatronics, it's $16.98, and you get the potential of having your cost of schooling covered by the company. You also have benefits, and you're now learning a skill. So you're able to take what you've learned at school and immediately apply it and start understanding how they correlate. And so I think the huge benefit is coming out of school potentially with not a lot of debt and being paid at the same time. So from my perspective, I wish we would have had something like this way back when I was getting out of high school. So.
Kathy, Dean, you guys have been great. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your obviously tremendously busy schedule to spend some time with us and share this important information. As partners in education and industry, we're just trying to make a brighter future for people, and particularly our young people, and to open up opportunities for them so that they'll know what their options are and that success can be had. I want to thank you, just incredibly thank you for taking this time to share with us. And with that, I'll just say it's Stevie B at PTC, thanking Dean and Kathy for being with us today. We'll see you next week for another informative session of PTC Live.